Can I tell you a secret?
Have you ever wondered what really goes on behind the doors of your favorite fast food restaurants? Well, fast food companies are like every other corporation. They've all got skeletons in their closets. Here are 10 huge secrets fast food restaurants try to hide from you.
Hey, what's that? Where'd you get that, Mom?
Why it's called soft serve.
Well, I was gonna say get some ice cream, but okay.
Oh, I like ice cream.
Have you ever noticed that at every fast food chain you go to, they never have ice cream? It doesn't matter which brand it is, Wendy's, Dairy Queen, McDonald's, it's always soft serve. What gives? The reason is actually pretty simple. There are a lot of regulations for what can and cannot be classified as ice cream. According to FDA regulations, a product has to contain at least 10% milk fat, also known as butter fat, in order to be named an ice cream. For example, the product that Dairy Queen uses in its cones, blizzards, and sundaes only has 5% milk fat. Therefore, it's not technically ice cream. Technically, it's reduced fat, but for some reason the brand isn't marketing it that way. McDonald's is in the same boat with their product. At one point in time, they even called it ice milk, invoking imagery akin to a brutal winter landscape. Yeah, soft serve definitely sounds a lot more appetizing.
So, who wants an ice milk?
I do.
Where's the beef, or show me the money?
I think you owe me a little money anyway.
Everyone knows the iconic Where's the Beef commercial that Wendy's put out more than 30 years ago. In it, a sweet old lady by the name of Clara Peller sassily demands of Wendy's competitors, "Where's the beef?" The commercial was a huge win for Wendy's, and it even made Clara Peller into a bit of a celebrity. But despite the fact that her catchphrase earned tons of fame for the fast food company, Wendy's apparently paid Peller close to nothing.
I'm gonna miss being able to afford food.
She reportedly earned only $317 a day for her first commercial, and not much more for her second one. Wendy's claimed that she earned close to $500,000, but she denied making that much. Because she wasn't paid much by Wendy's, she accepted a deal with Prego meat sauce, in which she claimed,
"I found it."
And guess what? Wendy's fired her for it. Wendy's claims it's because the commercial she was featured in infers that Clara found the beef somewhere other than in Wendy's restaurants. Pretty rich, coming from a company that pushes wholesome family values. Maybe if they had compensated her for her participation in one of their most quotable commercials, she wouldn't have had to take work elsewhere. Oh well, you live and you learn. The McDonald brothers were run out of business by a McDonald's.
Contracts are like hearts. They're made to be broken.
Ray Kroc is the supposed founder of the McDonald's franchise, but behind the scenes, he was a petty tycoon. He joined up with the McDonald brothers after they'd already franchised 6 locations, and after he joined, he immediately began plotting.
McDonald's can be the new American church.
Because the brothers were technically his bosses, he had to get their approval for every change he wanted to make, and he despised not having that control. He offered to buy the company, and the brothers asked for $2.7 million plus 0.5% of future company royalties. Kroc eventually caved and paid the brothers, but he immediately went back on his offer and cut them out of the royalties, which could have made them hundreds of millions of dollars. After they sold the company, the brothers went back to running their original restaurant under a new name, Big M. Kroc allegedly hated this, so he opened a McDonald's nearby in order to run them out of business. It actually worked. Big M was forced to shut down, and Kroc was free to do whatever he wanted with the company he'd scammed his way into.
Pay attention, everyone. You're about to see the best in the business.
Taco Bell's mascot is stolen.
You insulted my pride. That means death.
Gidget, also known as the Taco Bell Chihuahua, was Taco Bell's mascot from 1997 to 2000. This adorable Chihuahua was voiced by Carlos Alastraqui and became a great addition to the brand.
Viva Gorditas!
So whatever happened to this lovable canine? Well, how about becoming the subject of a massive lawsuit? The creators of the ad campaign were Joseph Shields and Thomas Rinks. The pair claims that they came up with the idea for a psycho chihuahua and pitched advertising ideas and commercials to Taco Bell. The company allegedly then broke off the contract with Rinks and Shields, but still went on to use the character. Fortunately, the pair won the lawsuit, and it only took the jury a few hours to decide. Taco Bell was ordered to pay the pair $30 million, but they weren't done. Taco Bell hit the duo with a counterclaim, saying that it was all the ad agency's fault, not theirs. This plan backfired, and the company was ordered to pay an additional $12 million in interest on the judgment. But whatever happened to the dog? Well, in 2002, Gidget furthered her career by appearing in a Geico commercial. She also had a part in Legally Blonde 2, Red, White, and Blonde as Bruiser's mom. Sadly, in 2009, at the ripe age of 15 years old, Gidget was put down after suffering a stroke. When they heard about this, Taco Bell expressed their deepest sympathies to the owner and fans alike.
Hurt me.
The issue with McDonald's machines.
Hi, excuse me. Can I just get a large,
Can you not see him on the phone?
Have you ever noticed that McDonald's soft-serve machines go down, like, all the time? It's a common thing that happens just about everywhere, and people have been tweeting about it since the beginning of, well, Twitter. In 2017, the Wall Street Journal decided to get to the bottom of it, and what they found was worrisome. Not only did they discover the machines require a 4-hour-long cleaning cycle to get rid of bacteria that builds up in the system, they also found out that getting the machine ready for said cycle takes a time-consuming 11 steps. So do they actually get cleaned as often as they should? You can probably assume that the answer is no, and you'd be right. A worker in Louisiana was actually fired after posting a photo of a moldy drip tray from the machine. And though the company claims that it never comes into contact with your food, do you really want to take the risk?
Oh, call the number on my bracelet.
McDonald's fries still aren't vegetarian.
The fries, what about them? They're 5% too crisp.
Despite numerous complaints and lawsuits, the company refuses to cater to the vegetarian and vegan demographic. The thing is, in many other countries, they already have. For example, McDonald's in India don't use lard for their fries. They don't use any animal products at all, and they seem to do just fine. However, in America, when the company decided to switch out the oil for a veggie-based one instead, their customers complained about the lack of flavor. The company's solution was to add natural beef flavor to the spuds during the production cycle. You may be familiar with the class action lawsuit that hit this famous company in 2000. The lawsuit was held by multiple Hindu customers who felt they'd been duped into unwittingly consuming animal products, something which is against their religion. Their cries were joined by vegetarians and vegans alike, pointing out that the company was misleading their customers. While the fries were now being cooked in vegetable oil, the company had to admit that the spuds were being coated in beef flavoring, and so McDonald's settled for $10 million, with over half of it going to vegetarian organizations. And while their customers are visibly upset about this lack of vegetarian options, the company has no plans to change. A representative said that while their fries are prepared differently in other countries, they were going to continue with the way they are prepared in the US. In other words, vegetarians, consider yourself warned.
You're a vegetarian?
Uh-huh. It's recent.
Oh, is it?
Colonel Sanders' opinion of KFC.
Howdy, Internet. It's me, Colonel Sanders.
We're just going to rip off the Band-Aid immediately. Colonel Sanders hated what KFC did to his recipe. Okay, let's start at the beginning. Colonel Sanders was a real person who was born in 1890. He worked for decades perfecting his fried chicken recipe and getting people on board with his fried chicken vision. In 1964, he sold Kentucky Fried Chicken, and while he stayed on as the spokesman, he didn't always agree with what the company did with his food. For example, in 1970, there was the Great Gravy Dispute. Colonel Sanders' gravy was indisputably delicious, but corporate complained that you had to be a scholar to cook it. It was costly, time-consuming, and too complicated to make for some 16-year-old kid working a part-time job.
You had a weird style.
That wasn't my style, that was a uniform. KFC.
When they changed the recipe, Mr. Sanders spoke out, saying that it wasn't even fit for his dogs to eat. Corporate wasn't pleased that the KFC spokesman was speaking out against the brand, and in 1978, they sued him for libel after he allegedly called the gravy wallpaper paste. Luckily for Colonel Sanders, the lawsuit was thrown out because the remarks weren't about one particular location, but the damage was already done. We have no doubt that if he were still alive today, Colonel Sanders would refuse to eat the chicken he spent decades perfecting.
I order boneless wings from KFC. Hang on to that thought, Haley.
Chipotle versus fair wage for workers.
Fair trade blend with soy milk?
Ha! I'm sorry, but that's pathetic.
In 2006, Chipotle was approached by the Coalition of Immokalee Workers and were asked to join their Fair Food program. They're a worker-based company whose goal is to help protect Floridian farm workers, pushing to secure fair wages and good working conditions for them. It shouldn't be a big deal to say yes, right? Chipotle is the Food with Integrity company, so protecting workers' rights shouldn't be that big of a deal. Well, apparently it was too big of an ask for this company. According to certain sources, it took Chipotle a full 6 years to sign it, and only after members of the clergy and other organizations protested at their headquarters. Chipotle claims that their mission aligned with the vision of the CIW, but they didn't like some of the rules that they would be agreeing to.
Hey, a rule is a rule. And let's face it, without rules, there's chaos.
One of these said rules stipulated that the chain had to ask for permission from the CIW in order to source tomato growers outside of their network. At the time, Chipotle promised to do their best to only buy from CIW-supported farmers, but they made no guarantees. It leaves us wondering why it took them so long to make things official.
Rosa, 2 specials, Chipotle.
Is Starbucks actually fair trade?
I better manifest some coffee.
Being fair trade friendly is a huge part of Starbucks' identity. They brag about how they love supporting the farmers who are growing our morning cup of joe. But in 2006, the company had a huge falling out with Oxfam. Oxfam went as far as to claim that Starbucks had blocked farmers' attempts to trademark their coffee beans. This is a big deal. When it comes to selling their beans, a good trademark can give you the leverage you need to get a good deal out of buyers and suppliers. The director of Oxfam had nothing nice to say about Starbucks, claiming that they're tying the hands of Ethiopian farmers who produce world-famous coffee, preventing them from taking full advantage of this to help work themselves out of poverty. Eventually, Starbucks went on to recognize the legitimacy of the names they'd tried to squander, and they were thankfully trademarked. However, the dispute was a huge blow to Starbucks, and it made them look very, very hypocritical.
You know what? I'm out of here.
Wait, are you still going to Starbucks?
The truth about Domino's Pizza Tracker.
Forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for late pizza.
In theory, the pizza tracker is a great idea. You know exactly the stage of creation your pizza is in, and then once it's out the door, you know exactly when your pie is going to show up. According to one former pizza deliverer, the pizza tracker doesn't so much reflect the truth, but what the company wants to be true. Domino's knows how long it should take one of their employees to make a pizza after it's been ordered, but we all know that things don't always work like clockwork.
I know to you, Parker, a promise means nothing. But to me, it's serious.
Not only is the app lying to the customer, it also puts pressure on employees. The app doesn't take into account the store's delivery range or the popularity of the store. Corporate says that a driver should only be making 2 to 3 stops per delivery, but for certain locations, that's just not possible, and some drivers are forced to make 4 to 8 stops each time. However, because of the timer, employees have a huge amount of pressure put on them. The app sends the stats of the store back to corporate, and they analyze the numbers to see if a particular location needs more or less supervision, aka people breathing down the managers' backs. How do they cope? Well, employees have found a way to fudge the stats. If your pizza tracker claims your pizza has been delivered but it's not yet on your table, know that it's probably due to some poor, overworked employees trying to make their numbers look good.
Where's the pizza?
We've got more. Just tap that screen for another great video, hit that subscribe button, and ring that bell to join our notification squad.